All right, Jake, I'm excited of this one because I know you as a person, but I have
Mhm.
no idea about your story. I think you, if I'm right, you started right after I left.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start with your story. Just quick 5 minutes, and I'm pretty sure we can still do get more calls in.
Yeah.
And then I have questions, and then last 20 minutes we're gonna just give the microphone to you because
Okay.
I had a one-on-one with you last week, and then you started telling me about leading someone versus coaching someone. So I was like,
Mhm.
you know what, bro, this is a really good topic. And that's sparked
Yeah.
my interest. So I'm going to bring you in for one of my calls. So let's start with your story, Jay, because I'm really excited to get to know your story as well. And
Mhm.
then let's give me some numbers, how long you have been in the business, how much money that you have already made, maybe saved, maybe spent. You
Okay.
never know, right? What you're going to do with your money. So we would love to hear your story first. Let's go from there.
Okay. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate you. Appreciate you helping me out too. So, what's up, guys? My name's Jake. I am from Northern California. It's this little like farmland kind of town where it's not. It's like it's weird. It's a lot of farmers, but then it's also kind of ghetto at the same time. So, that's where I'm from. I grew up playing sports, so I'm very keen on performance, and I understand it well. Um, Played sports, was really good at soccer, really good at basketball. Excuse me. Played a little junior college basketball. Nothing to hang my hat on, but I played that for a little bit. And then you realize like you're too short. I'm like 5'9", so played for a while, then I couldn't anymore. And then I was like, okay, well, as we're brought up, it's like, what are we taught to do? Okay, well, I got to get a degree. Okay, so I went to this nice school in California. It's called UC Santa Barbara. Um, and I supposedly got a good degree from a good school, so I was ready to get out there on the job market, and all the like the cool companies, right? Like that I was applying for in sales and finance and stuff like that. They all told me I needed years of experience, and I was kind of pissed off about that, to be honest with you, because I was like, well, what the fuck was I doing in school for? Sorry if I cuss a little bit. And then I saw this cool company called Phoenix on LinkedIn of all things, and I think I messaged Kat on there, and my idea was like, well, I could learn sales, and I could be by Newport Beach. It's this really cool beach in Orange County, um, and so that was the idea. And then I started working there, and I don't know if you guys have met Dom, and then Dom was the one that trained me, and I worked under Fareed, um, and I spent 3 years, right, of I was mostly an alpha. I think the field part came pretty easy. Interviewing was pretty easy. Training I sucked at because I just felt like I didn't understand like what I'm gonna kind of talk about is like the training and the coaching. Like I thought if I taught you everything, you should be able to perform and you should be able to do really well. So I struggled with that for a while. It took me 3 years to get to ownership. I think first year and a half, that's kind of what I was working on. Then it kind of clicked for me, and then I built a team fairly quickly because I played sports. Like I understand like team dynamics. I understand working with different people, and then so that was pretty quick. And then I went was an assistant manager, and I had a bunch of markets to not a bunch of markets to choose from, but some markets to choose from. And then I ended up choosing San Diego, and yeah, I launched out in April of 2024. So it's about to be my first full year in business. Done pretty well so far. It's a great market, great people. It's not about the market; it's about the owner. But done pretty well so far. We launched out with 5 guys, and now we have 23 because I got a new guy starting today. So I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know if some of you met Austin. Austin has about 8 people, and hopefully soon we'll get them to assistant management and kind of go from there. But that's a little bit of my story. Um, I've saved. Do you want me to tell you? I'll tell you right now. Yeah, in California, um, California is a fun state to run a business in, which I'm figuring out. But I've saved my first year. I've saved about 180 grand, and then I probably spent about like 50 or 60. I bought a new car, things like that. I don't need much, but I spend a lot on my guys, and there's trips and there's things like that. So maybe like 50. So
Nice.
that's
That's
much.
a good life. How old are you now?
Huh?
How old are you?
20. I just turned 28.
You turned 28. So you started with us when you were 25.
I started when I was like 24. I
Started
started
when
out
you
of
were 24,
COVID.
right after college.
Yeah,
And then you spent 3 years
yeah. Like
under Farid learning the
like
game.
I say three, but it was like 3.5.
All right, three and a half. And then 20, now you're 27 or 28.
I just turned 28 in February. So
All
yeah.
right, so 28. So that's actually not a bad gig. And now you're averaging around 30 grand a week.
Yeah.
Right? So right now, by April, you're probably passing, or your first year is going to be over $1 million.
Yeah, that's the goal.
How many people in Santa Barbara graduated with you can say that?
No, and that's a good point because when I graduated, hey Sean, it's like so I felt first started working as a rep, right? You feel like the social status, right? You feel under the norm, right? Like you feel like you're a little bit behind, right? But then as soon as I, got promoted to ownership, I'm like well ahead of my peers, right? So it's a fuckery of it. So funny that you say that, yeah.
Good job, bro. Very proud of you. That's
Appreciate you,
amazing.
bro.
All right, bro, we're gonna shift the gears here. I know you have a really good topic already planned for everyone else.
Hmm.
And so next 20 minutes, we're gonna spend just talking about leading, coaching. And if I
Okay.
do have questions, I'll jump in, but I'm gonna give you the microphone and then we'll finish the call with more questions from the team. Okay.
Yeah, I'll try to break it down pretty easy and then I'll let you guys just ask me some questions. I like that better anyway. I wish I had a whiteboard. That's my fault. I should have got to the office earlier, but then I could show you. I want to talk a
Hey,
little bit
Farid
about,
trained you, right?
yeah, freight training.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you have probably have no idea on Zoom there's a whiteboard, right?
I don't know how to use it. I'm not going to try
Okay.
it. I'll just
Yeah,
talk.
it's okay. What a rookie honors does, huh?
Right. Hey, Sean had asked me in our one-on-one, he was asking me about like what I was doing, and I told him I teach a lot of like training versus coaching, and that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about. So you mind if I ask questions, hey Sean, and get some answers?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what does somebody need to know to be able to sell family plan or a line or internet or whatever? What are our systems do they need to know to be able to sell that? I'd like somebody could shout that out. Like what do they need to know to be able to do that?
The prices?
No.
The eights.
Eights, yeah, they kind of need to know that. What else? There's another system.
Fuji.
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, you can get away without Fuji. Like, you find a pretty easy customer.
Good intro short story.
Yeah, intro, short story, presentation, close, rehash. Literally the 5 steps to a conversation, right? So that's all they need to know to close a sale. At the end of the day, if we break it down, that's it. Okay, so all training is teaching them how to get to that point. But we overcomplicate training because we think it's something else. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But like I said, so I don't care if you're a seasoned vet or you're a newer leader maybe getting into it, or just maybe you just got promoted. Anybody can teach a new guy how to do it. Does that make sense? Anybody can train. All you have to teach them is intro, short story, presentation, close, rehash, maybe some 8 grades, but you're teaching them how to get a sale. That's it. So that is training in a nutshell, in my opinion. That's the easy part. I could throw anybody in there. I could throw my recruiter in there and she could teach you how to get through the iPad and all the way to the close. You know what I'm saying? So we need to get that's the understanding. We need to get really good at coaching. Now, coaching is everything else, right? Because logically, if you think about it, if we're teaching them just how to get through rehash or get all the way to rehash on their own, right? Shouldn't they be able to know and be up and running? But most people have all kinds of shit and they're not up and running, right? Because it's all kinds of other things. So what we're doing is coaching rather than training. And I want to give you guys just a key point on this. So training is teaching the systems. There's structure to it, and there's measurable outcomes. You can write that down if you want. Um, Teaching systems, there's structure to it, and there's measurable outcomes. Coaching is focusing on personal development. It's relationship based, and it facilitates growth and is goal oriented. So those are all kind of different like buzzwords. I'll kind of break them down for you guys right now. But what you're doing is the coaching part. Everybody on your team, everybody that you go out with, you're coaching them, right? Rather than training, because the training is easy. So get that framework, right? You already have it. So there's a difference between training and coaching. Okay, we have that framework. Now, coaching in our business, you need to get real. Is anybody want me to repeat anything? I apologize. I'm just kind of talking. All good? Okay, I'll keep going. In our business, there's a system to coaching, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. I don't know if Sean teaches it, but in my opinion, there's a system to coaching, and I'll go over it. It's called situational leadership. Do you guys know that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, some of you. Can I get a raise of hands who does or who doesn't?
Could you recap it for me, please?
Yes, I will. Yeah. Situational leadership. So this is a system to coaching your people. So we have 4 things in our business. It's field, interviewing, training, and team building, right? I'm going to just stick with field just to hit the point home because we're talking about training and getting them up and running. But you could use it wherever. So everybody, I'm just going to say it out loud and then everybody write this down. So there's 4 stages where somebody's at in their journey of the field, right? The first one is called D1. And in D1, we measure before I say that, we measure 2 things when we're coaching people. Their enthusiasm or their attitude for what they're doing, and then their level of competency. Okay. So I'm always looking at those things. I'm not looking at what they've done lately. I'm not looking at, like, I am looking at credit checks. I'm looking at all kinds of things, right? But these are mostly my things that I'm looking for. And I have markers that kind of clarify them. So we're always looking at enthusiasm and competency for the task. And the task is sales at this point. Okay. Everybody good on that? Well, you guys can just throw in a question if you have a question. Okay. So the first one is D1. It's high enthusiasm and low competency. So think any new person coming into our business, what are they? They're pretty excited, right? They're like, I'm excited. I don't know, I'm about to do sales. I don't know what the field looks like, but I'm just excited to learn. I'm excited to get going. But they have zero competency. They don't know, even if you came from a sales background, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know our systems yet, right? So just any new person, they're super excited. Okay, and then we get into the lovely stage of D2, where it's low enthusiasm and low competency. Okay, and when you're a new guy, right? You're super excited, right? You don't know what you don't know, but you're excited to learn, right? And then you get into this wonderful stage called D2, where everything sucks. The business sucks. What the fuck? What did I sign up for? I suck at sales, right? Everything is just shitty at this point. And if you can get guys out of D2, this is where your money's really made as an owner, as a leader, as anything, right? So you have low competency. So you still suck. You're not excited about it. And you still don't know what you're doing. So that's what D2 is. Low enthusiasm, low competency. Perfect. He's putting it up there. D3, this one is wavering. I call it wavering enthusiasm, but it's, essentially your enthusiasm is just based on your result, right? And you have mid to high levels of competency. You know what you're doing. So once you get to D3, the trigger right here is like, I know somebody's D3 if they've been promoted, because you can't get promoted to leadership if you don't already know what you're doing. Okay. So, excuse me. D3 is like wavering levels of enthusiasm dependent on the result. And then I say mid to high competency. You can just put high competency though. And then D4, the last one, high levels of competency, highly enthusiastic about what they're doing, right? So this is the consistent alpha player. You don't have to coach them on sales ever. You don't really need to do much, to be honest with you. They just kind of do their thing and get it done. Anybody have any questions so far?
All good here.
All good? Okay, cool. I'll keep going. And then coaching is called Situational Leadership 1. So I'm going to say SL1 on these ones. So how you coach people in each of these stages is different, right? So SL1 is low support, high direction. And I'll get into this. I'll break it down a little bit so you guys have a good idea. SL2 is high support, then high direction. SL3, high support, low direction. And then SL4 is low support, low direction. I think he's got him up there. So if you guys need to see him, yeah. Okay, cool. Cool. Everybody got that. Everybody has a good understanding of that. So everybody on your team or everybody you bring on, you should be able to identify right then and there where they're exactly at in terms of the field, right? Just use this as the field for now. So for instance, in my office, I have a big whiteboard and it has everybody's names and where they're at in the business in terms of field, interviewing, training, team building. And it's pretty easy to identify, right? You just kind of look at how people show up. Does that make sense? So part of the way I'm coaching is I'm giving support and direction. Okay. So direction is going to be what?
Right. Where are you going towards?
Say it again.
Where are you heading to? Like, that's your
Telling
direction.
them what to do.
Telling them what to do, right? This is the direction I'm giving you is somewhere in the 5 steps to a conversation. Hey, your beast factors suck. Hey, you need to fix your closing statement. You need to fix your rehash, whatever. That's the direction I'm giving. Now, support can come in a lot of different things. And this is kind of where your money is made as a coach. Does that make sense? So if you can get really good at supporting them, this is kind of your bread and butter, in my opinion. Okay, so and then you could title this "How to Give Support," and I'm going to give you a few ways to do that, and then we'll go in from there. So how to give support. So one way is accountability. Okay. Now some guys, when they have, I'm just going to think D2. Some guys, when they really start struggling and they're not doing well, sometimes the best support you can give them is just holding them accountable, holding them to standards. Because this could be the guy that, says a lot, but doesn't do a lot. He's not really working that hard and he's kind of got a shitty attitude. I'm going to probably hold that guy to standards. That's the best way I can support him at that point. Okay. Now, some guys are trying really hard, right? Some guys are really like, they're getting after it. They're just getting their ass kicked, right? Sometimes it could just be as simple as hanging out with them and, kind of giving them compliments on what they do really well. So I think support can just be hanging out with them, spending time with them. Okay. Another portion is similar to the hanging out, spending time, but how I would give support is I would get them a win in the field. Sometimes, you can tell when a guy is just busting his ass, but he can't seem to get anything, I'm probably going to help him get a win because what that's going to do is confidence. It's going to build a lot of confidence. And I'll talk a little bit about confidence after this. And then the last one I talk about is just kind of listening to them. Just sometimes you need to listen to them. Because when somebody, so obviously in D2 or SL2, we're giving them high support than high direction. It's really hard to give them a lot of direction if you haven't heard them out. Because sometimes, they're people, right? You're trying to master people at the end of the day. And people have, they have a lot of shit going on, right? Sometimes they just need a voice to hear. And sometimes that needs to be you, right? Like some guy the other day was, he's in a different stage, but I was training him and he has all these things going on. His car's messed up. His girlfriend's pissed off at him. And his parents are wanting to kick him out of the house, right? These are real world examples. So sometimes he just needs somebody to talk to them and let all that out. So what do? I just listen. It's called tipping the cup, right? But you just listen. Let them get it all out. Okay? So that's a lot of how you get support. Now going off that, the one thing that you're going to want to do as a coach is build confidence. Okay? Confidence is the great equalizer. I don't care if your coaching isn't, you feel like, oh, I'm not that great of a coach yet. If you can somehow build their confidence, that is going to take care of most things. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So what I'm looking for, I'm measuring your enthusiasm, your attitude for doing what you're doing, and your competency, right? The biggest thing that anybody can get up and running and become a leader pretty quickly is if they're confident, right? Now, not every day they're going to be confident, but my job as a coach is to get them confident. And so I try a variety of different ways. It depends how I can do that. Sometimes it's just that big win in the field. Sometimes it's listening to them, hearing them out, right? And then sometimes it's just holding them accountable. Hey, you said you're going to hit 5 credit checks today. Let's hit 5 credit checks today, right? But I want to build confidence, because confidence will take care of most things, in my opinion. Because the guy that's confident he's going out there, he's probably getting a lot of people back to the tablet. He's probably closing a lot of people. Whether at like the guy that's not confident, he can't stop anybody worth a shit, right? He can't get anybody to the tablet. So my biggest thing in coaching is just trying to build confidence, because it's going to equal out a lot. I'm going to pause there. Do you guys have any questions so far? I know I just said a lot of shit.
Pretty
I do
straightforward.
have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I think giving direction while giving high support is something that I'm working on.
Okay.
How do you know when they're ready to receive direction, when they're really just needing support? Like, how do you?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you gotta, great question, Candy. You gotta look at like where they're at, right? And this isn't like a system, in my opinion. This is kind of an art, right? So if I'm with a jam, let's say, and they're not, they're still like not competent, right? But I'm just looking at their attitude and their enthusiasm. Are they excited? Are they bought in? Okay, if they're excited and their attitude's great, then I'm probably just gonna give them a lot of direction. But if they're like, you can kind of tell that, maybe they're quiet, maybe they're getting a little frustrated, they're getting a little emotional. That's probably when I'll do a lot of support, right? And then even when you have like if you're training and you have leaders on your team, so the litmus test from D2 to D3 is, I think, promotion. So once you're promoted, I think you're competent. I think you know what you're doing, in my opinion, right? So once you're a leader, at this point, I'm probably just giving more support than direction at the end of the day. Because if I give you direction, it's going to be like, well, I already kind of know this. Like, they're not telling me anything. And then when you're coaching, it falls on deaf ears and it's one ear out the other, right? So once they're a leader, I'm probably just giving strictly support. When they're not a leader, though, I'm going to give support then direction. And honestly, like, you got to identify it. Maybe somebody doesn't need that much support. Everybody needs support, though, in my opinion. But it depends where they're at. So maybe they need a lot of support. Maybe they don't need. But you got to identify that. Just looking at them, talking to them, hearing their language. How are they talking about the store? How are they talking about what they're doing? You can kind of tell. Yeah. Does that answer?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, and I can go further on it for you guys, but in my opinion, if you can get really nerdy with this is just the system on coaching, right? Now, it's going to be more of an art, and it's going to be something that you have to work at over time, right? First year in the business, first year and a half, like I couldn't have anybody on my team stick. I couldn't do anything like that, right? And it was because like I wasn't that good at coaching. I could train you, right? Like I could teach you the 5 steps, I could teach you Fuji, 8 great work habits, all those things, right? But I couldn't coach you. And so in our business, you're gonna, like, you guys all know this, you're gonna get jams that have just problem after problem after problem. There always is something, right? Sometimes there's not, but a lot of times there is, right? We're hiring entry level people and we're turning them into leaders, into, future entrepreneurs, right? So in that process, you're helping people get through their shit, right? This is a lot of personal development, and this is kind of what you need to get really good at in order to teach them and move them forward in the business and have them grow with you, right? But yeah, everybody, going back to that, everybody's gonna come in with shit, right? Everybody's gonna come in with some kind of problem. There's gonna be some vice that they have. And I'm not like a pessimist. I just know this from experience. Everybody has something, right? And so you're helping them, coach them out of that to get them what they want. Now, going back to that, the ultimate goal of coaching is figuring out what they want, what motivates them, and helping them get that. Because people will be on your team, they will be loyal, they will follow you if you can help them get to their goals. So as I get a new person, first thing that I'm going to start looking at is how are they motivated? How are they wired? What are they doing? And what are they here for? Some people are just here for money, right? Hell yeah. I don't mind that. Let's go make some money. Some people want to grow in personally, right? Like they don't know the opportunity, but they do want to grow personally. All right, I can help you with that. Let's work on that. Some people literally just like being around the culture. I can help you with that. That's when I'm holding you accountable, that you got to stay, at an alpha number if you want to be around the culture, right? So whatever they want, I'm tying what they want back to, the business and how and growing and doing that. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So that'll be the first thing that you got to identify. But then as you're given this direction, as you're given the support, right, it's pretty easy to help them, right? Like you're just keeping them on the path that they want, right? You identify the path and then you keep them on the path. So that's mostly what I got for you guys. We can just give it up for questions if you want. I know I gave you a lot of information. So, but that's how I view it. That's how I think about things, right? And I'll summarize it for you again. First thing is identify what they want, help them get what they want. Get really good at situational leadership, know when to use high support, know when to just give them some direction, and identify where they're at. And then you can kind of go from there. But if they're confident, that's going to take care of most things, in my opinion. So that's what you guys want to do. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're going to open up for questions. If you do have any questions, raise your hand. Be a little bit loud. If you're in the back, you probably have to come close to the TV.
I'll lean in.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So for some people that are very like closed off, but show up to the office like super excited, like it genuinely seems like they want to be here, but on the back end maybe don't want to be here. What do you think are some conversations or like some key like maybe personality traits or things that they do that you can kind of point out or talk to them with to try to like get it out of them?
So you're saying that they show up to the office really like excited to be here, and then you're saying in their other parts of their life they're not acting like they want to be here, or maybe
Yeah, like maybe they're a little bit nagged out but don't necessarily want to like speak about it or like kind of reach out. So like what do you think are some good conversations to try to like get it out of them?
yeah, I mean, you got to sit them down, right? And it's kind of like the field, right? So when you ask really good questions, you're gonna get really good answers. If you ask like, "What's up, bro? How you feeling?" "Oh, good, good. Yeah, yeah. All right. Hey, you ready to go today?" "Yeah, yeah, I'm good. Ready." Like that's what you're gonna kind of get, right? So you need to ultimately coaching is a lot of it is asking them questions so that you want to ask them questions to elicit awareness for them, right? So I'm probably going to sit that person down and ask them questions, right? I always like doing this too, like depending on how they're showing up, right? So this may answer your question, it may not, but we can get back to it. It's like, hey, you show up really excited for, the office, but then in the field, you're not really excited. What's kind of going on? What's going through your head right now? "Oh, well, I'm just working, blah, blah, blah." Well, it's gonna be hard for you to do really well because you remember you said you wanted to make $1,000 a week. It's gonna be really hard for you to make $1,000 if you're only excited to be in the office and then the field you're not excited to be in, right? I just want to elicit like some awareness, right? So I'm gonna ask really good questions to kind of bring that about. Because if I just ask you these basic stuff, I'm gonna get basic answers, and then to your point, it's gonna be really hard to identify that, right? But I want to bring that about so that we can talk about that. We can have an open dialogue, right? And I may not tell you anything. I may just listen and bring awareness, and then I'll have that in the back of my head. Well, he's feeling this way about the field because of this, right? Okay, how do I help? So does that answer your question, or?
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we have a question here, Jake.
Go ahead.
Remy interferes, so it's too loud, so he just texts me the question.
That's okay.
Um, mm, all right, so what it takes to get a new person's attitude going when you see them start declining due to previous failures? That I think what the question he's asking is like when you have like past memories, how to get rid of those past failures and just get them activated faster?
There's a quick fix, and then there's some deep work that needs to be done. Deep work is like how you need to teach them how to think about things, like what's their perception to failure. In my opinion, if you can do a really good job on the front end when you first get a person, you should, and like you can frame things for them, then you don't really have to worry about that. But yeah, you want to teach them how to think, right? So you want to teach them like how to respond to failures. Remember when I talked about support? This may be like, hey, like helping them remember when they were good could give them confidence, right? Or maybe this is the time where I start using like getting them a win. Maybe that brings out their confidence again and then they're ready to go. I don't know. I'm giving you guys tools to use for support. You have to be able to identify your people and identify the situation, right? Ultimately, I don't want him thinking like, oh, I suck, I failed, right? Like I want to teach him the framework that's going to help him, be sustainable. But at the end of the day, right, then you have to, maybe you go back and maybe you help him get a win, right? Maybe you're complimenting on what he's really good at. I don't know. It could be a lot of different things, but ultimately I don't want him, thinking, Phil, this sucks. It's too hard, right? I want him confident. And if he's confident, then he's going to be good. So how do I get him from not confident, really negged out to that, right? It's a lot of different ways of support. Yeah.
All right, looks like all the questions are done. All right, so I'm gonna hit you with the last one.
Go ahead.
Like, walk me through your process this year. Like, what is the goal for yourself? You're finishing your first year in the business.
Yeah.
28, and then 2025 will be done. What is your game plan? How are you guys? Give me
Yeah.
some strategies. As a rookie owner, what's your game?
So yeah, I'm in this point where my team can produce really well. I don't think we have a problem in the field. We have, the right guys on the boat. And what I mean by the right guys is like, there's no integrity issues. I try to weed out the lazy people so I don't have those. So right now we have a young team that's really good at making money. And so when I think about that, then what do I need to do? I need to teach them how to become leaders, right? Step into those roles where they're taking out new guys. They're starting to get into training. They're starting to step up in their business. So I'm thinking a lot of growth, right? As far as like bigger goals, so I launched out in April. So March will be my last month for the year, in my opinion. I'm doing it weird just because I'm going April to April, but this year in 2025 specifically, I think that we can promote out 2 owners and then hit the $1 million in revenue. I think we can do like 1.5, which will be cool. So those are some of the big goals. But as far as just the day to day, what I'm trying to teach them is how to step up into leadership roles, how to really grow. It's like, okay, great, you're making money. Now let's start growing. And there's a process to that. So I think, at first when I came out here, it was just like, let's make money, let's stack cash. Okay, now we're starting to bring some people on. Let's get them involved in our culture. Culture is a big thing. You want them like excited to be there. You like them hanging out with your guys. And then let's get them making money. Okay, now we have enough people making money and the culture is really good. Now let's start growing and developing like senior leaders, assistant managers, right? More core people. So that's kind of my goal for now. I think we have a good amount of like core guys that are solid that can make money, but I think we can promote out 2 owners. And so now I'm thinking like, oh shit, should I step back a little bit so that they step up? Those are kind of the things that are going through my head. I don't know. I'm gonna go to Keys and I'm gonna get more one-on-ones. Probably ask you something, and kind of go from there.
All right, Jake. Thank you so much for joining us, brother. Good
Yeah,
job. I'll
thank
see you
you
next
guys for
week.
having me. Hey, Sean's the GOAT, by the way, everybody. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Hey, just listen to Hey Sean and you'll be fine. He's the GOAT.
All right, Jake. Have a good day, bro.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.